What's up, everybody? We're back working on the 120 gallon crystal shrimp, which are the pinto variety, red pintos to be exact, which I got in from potheplug.com, which is not a sponsorship video. He happens to just have the quality of shrimp that I want. Great shipping, great customer service, all that kind of stuff at the price that I think is a reasonable price. And so I paid with my own money to get in and get some pinto shrimps and get those sent in. And I've had them for quite a while now, so I'm happy to be talking about it and kind of showing you guys the tank again now that they're fully acclimated and I'm 100% confident that everything's going well, you know. So of course I went through the regular quarantine process with the shrimp, which is a little bit confusing. I've gotten a lot of questions about that over the years. Should you be using general cure? Should you be using antifungal? All that kind of stuff. Now, if you are concerned on where you're getting your shrimp from, I would say go ahead and use, the Aquarium Co-op Med Trio is the easiest way to explain it. But go ahead and use the general cure, ICX, and that kind of stuff, and have them in a tank for about 2 to 3 weeks, and make sure that you don't see any visible fungus, any problems eating, if they're not molting, or if they just, you get them in and in fact they just die. Obviously it's going to be a problem if you have a shrimp colony and you add them into a tank. Well, you're going to end up with a real colony collapse situation, and you don't want to go down that road. I'll be brutally honest with you. It's not something you want happening. If you're somebody that is breeding and maintaining a big shrimp colony, the last thing you want is to add something in that is sick and kill off the whole colony. It's a sad day, and I can personally say from personal experience, it is kind of the worst thing when the colony of shrimp you've been taking care of, they don't make it. Now, this is a 120 gallon acrylic aquarium, which I commissioned from a local tank builder. It has a sump underneath it that we purchased from a local store. We actually kind of worked out a deal because we were going to buy 3 of them as opposed to just buying 1 at a time. So we got a slight discount. But other than that, everything that's in here has been purchased except for the hardscape stuff, which is a sponsorship from Aquarium Co-op. So shout out to those guys for hooking up the Sierra stone and the wood and things that are in this aquarium. Now, since I have gone through the quarantine process, adding these shrimps in and that kind of stuff, I haven't really wanted to make any changes to the aquarium, whether it be hardscape, whether it be plants. I don't want to be trimming. I don't want to really be disturbing the tank for a good amount of time. Now, the after effect of that is that the plants are overgrown and it kind of just looks terrible overall in the tank. So that's kind of the main thing that we're going to be addressing today, is pulling out plants, replanting things, and trimming stuff that's grown all the way up to the top of the tank. And that's going to be our main focus. I'm going to be adding a couple of plants, which some of them are coming from other tanks, but most of them I did dip into Melifix at one point. Then I put them into aquarium water to rinse them off. Then I put them into the sump of this aquarium and allow them to kind of adapt and do that kind of stuff in the sump, as opposed to having them do it in the display. Now, there are some plants in here that wouldn't really fit in the sump that are floating around and just kind of in the tank, and we're going to be adding those in. Some Ludwigia arcuata, we've got some Cryptocorini spiralis. We've got some of that going in, and amongst some other stuff we're going to be adding. I don't want to have to list everything off with this whole FaceTime portion of the video, but I have to move some of the hardscape, but that is actually going to come in the future. I'm sort of at the 2-month mark right now with this shrimp colony. We did the quick quarantine. I actually only quarantined them for a week as opposed to the 2 to 3 weeks, which I normally do, mainly because they were just so healthy. And there just really wasn't any issues with having brought them in. There really wasn't any issues, so I didn't have to continue to treat them or anything like that. So we're basically at, like I said, we're basically at the 2-month mark here, and I think I'm probably going to wait till about month 3 or month 4 before I go really moving around hardscape or even adding and subtracting substrate or anything like that. So we've got all of this Pogostemon erectus to plant back here. And I think what I'm going to end up doing here is kind of trimming them and also just really focusing on getting them back as far back as I can and kind of focus them back into this back area back here, back into the back area, back with, just keep saying back a lot, in order to kind of fill out behind this bacopa, even though I've got to trim some of that bacopa too. So I'm going through and really picking the ones that are looking real healthy. Some of them grew so tall that I'm having to trim a lot of the stem off, and that's not a big deal. It's not realistically like a huge ordeal or really that complicated. It's just like trimming off the bit of the stem that has no leaves on it, you know? So pretty basic. Some of these gotten real bushy, like this one. That's actually kind of good because we do have a lot of roots and they're already split into multiple fronds. So that's incredibly helpful and going to work out pretty well in the long term, I think. In my experience, it definitely has helped out to treat Pogostemon erectus this way, and works out pretty good. And like here's a piece right here. So like this piece, you can tell how it's a side shoot because of how much space, and it has fewer density of leaves, which eventually it'll grow as dense as the other ones. But when they're kind of young like that, they just have that personality to them. Really interesting. I'm not sure what the advantage is to it growing that way, but I guess I should probably look that up someday. Maybe somebody's written a paper about it or something, but get to see one at this juncture in time. Don't know exactly why that is. Maybe somebody knows, and they can bust it down in the comments down there. But Pogostemon erectus really is like one of the easiest plants to replant realistically. It kind of gives you its own planting guide because of how bushed out it already is. You can just start at the back, work your way forward, and just fill out the area. So it does really make it quite easy to replant. And all I do is just the real small ones like this I put towards the front, and the big bushy ones I put towards the back. And it's just really easy to organize them that way. Like here's another little one. And then I always kind of plant it in a triangle with the wide part towards the back, and then getting skinny and going kind of individually placed towards the front. You guys can hear the gurgling of the overflow probably. It's because my arm takes up volume. When I put it in the water, sends a bunch of extra water suddenly down the overflow, and then it utilizes the emergency. Which the emergency doesn't have a siphon, so it makes noise.
Stem and erectus, making sense. And we gotta do something about this Bacopa. Bacopa's growing too tall. You can see this is all the way up to the top now. So, with a stem like that, what I'm actually gonna do is trim it right down here behind that rock, because I want it to split like this one did, because this one's actually split right there, and I did this a little too high. So I'm going to trim that one and that one, and I'm probably not going to be back in here messing around with plants by the time this one grows up too tall. So what I'm actually going to do with this one is pull it out, trim it, and replant it. Ooh, that's a lot of roots.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the bells, do all that nonsense down there, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. You know how it is. You know what's up. You know what time it is. If you don't know what time it is, head over to patreon.com/JOEL_C. And that is our community sponsorship, which we have a lot of goals which we're trying to meet in the year 2020, which it is now. Very exciting goals to try and hit for projects coming up in the near future. We'll see if we can hit those goals. If we can, then we're gonna do them. If not, then kind of go back to the drawing table, because that's how the world works, right? Everything's funded by something, and hopefully this continues to be funded by you guys. For as little as $1 a month, that's kind of way more than anybody else could do just watching videos and stuff, right? All right, later.